If you want to solve a budget problem, I would not raise the highest tax rate from 45p to 50p because, frankly, you won't get more money, but you will cause a lot of disruption in the overall economy. You'll increase the number of people unemployed, the people on welfare, all this, and it will lead to a larger budget deficit, not a smaller one. If you really want to get money, lower the highest tax rate down 40% or maybe even lower, create prosperity, because you'll balance the budgets in the backs of people who are employed and who move into your country. That's how to solve the problem. Tax revenue maximizing rate is not the optimum rate by any imagination, because at that point, raising and lowering the rate will not change revenues, but it will change output, employment, and production. What you want to always be is be well below that tax revenue maximizing point to be at the optimum point. So that's where you create the greatest prosperity. Remember, tax rates are not just to collect taxes. They're also to create the underlying prosperity, and any government worth its salt is well aware of the fact that their job is to create economic growth and prosperity for the citizens. What I would do is I'd get rid of all UK taxes except for sin taxes, because their purpose is not so much to raise revenues as it is to change behavior. And what I'd do is I'd have two flat rate taxes in the UK. One on indirect tax, I'd have a VAT tax, and I'd have one direct tax, a tax on income. I'd have both of them at the same rate, starting with the first pound of income to the last pound of income, all at a low flat rate on a broad flat base, and no other taxes. And I would make that rate the exact revenue neutral tax rate so that you get the same amount of revenue they have now. We have huge experiments in the U.S. I mean, we have 60 years worth of data for 50 states. I mean, if something can be done, it probably has been done in Idaho in 1947 or something like that. So we have a huge repository of information. And what you find is that people respond to taxes. They move. If you have two locations, A and B, if you raise taxes in B and if you lower them in A, producers and manufacturers and people will move from B to A. And that is documented time and time again in the U.S. You know, I think politicians will implement this sort of agenda. I think when you go through it carefully, I think it's pretty obvious, it's pretty straightforward. This isn't, as Larry Gatlin says, rocket surgery. This is straightforward, simple, basic economics. People don't work to pay taxes. People work to get what they can after tax. It's that very personal and very private incentive that motivates people. And, you know, if you tax an activity, you get less of it. If you subsidize an activity, you get more of it. And what we've been doing is taxing work, output, and employment, and subsidizing non-work, leisure, and unemployment through welfare. And you can see the consequences of what's happened. I mean, it's terrifying. You've got to be very careful on being too aggressive on tax deductions, tax exemptions, tax exclusions, because if you really want to get people to do something, reward them for doing it, don't not punish them for not doing it. You know, it's far better to use government spending to encourage good behavior than it is to use tax exemptions for good behavior. I don't know how to say it any clearer than that, but taxes tell people what not to do. Do not report taxable income. They don't tell people what to do. Government spending, rewarding people for doing something, that tells people what to do. Use spending for rewarding, using taxes for punishing. Otherwise, just use taxes for collecting revenues to fund the spending that you need. I think it's almost locked. I mean, we have a huge battle going on amongst the states, where you have one group of states trying to raise taxes, the other groups trying to cut them. I mean, these battlegrounds are going on. You can see how the political results are. We're just about to have our Senate elections. Everything looks to be in pretty good order for the Republicans to take the Senate. I mean, you obviously have to wait for the results, but I'm quite optimistic that the Republicans will take the Senate. They've avoided all the huge pitfalls, and the Republicans are really good at jumping in pitfalls, but I don't think they will this time.